Welcome back to another episode of One Stage at a Time, where today on the program we're continuing to play Doom from 1993 for the PC and also various other systems that it was ported to. Today on the program we're playing through the stage E2M3, which is entitled Refinery. I am Andy, and I am joined by Aaron and Sam. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey, hey.
How you guys doing this week? How you feeling this week?
I got the old man pains is what I got. My back is tired and my knee hurts.
Every time I get out of my chair, I go, ugh, no matter how I feel.
We're so elderly now.
We are. We're old men.
We're playing games from 1993.
We're reliving the glory days, going back to we're regressing slowly.
Dude, I was watching that documentary on Netflix today, High Score, the one about video games.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good, man. But like they were showing footage of like arcades from like the 80s and 90s. And I was like, my God.
Good times.
Such good times.
That's why I really enjoyed back on my birthday this year, we went to Two Plumbers, which was super fun. Which was shout out to Two Plumbers. Hey guys. If you're listening, you're not listening, but yeah, no, that was so cool just to play like turtles on the arcade machine. But then you could go over and play Donkey Kong, and you can play all the pinball. It's just fun. It's fun for a long time. Like it's been Dave and Buster's if you want to get that arcade fix.
Yeah,
if you want to have a stake in an arcade environment, I'd like to see a better option.
Yeah, yeah, Dave and Buster's is fine. It's fine, but it's not. Like they've got some cool games.
If you're looking for, the nostalgia, it's those they got a pubcade or whatever they call them. It's like a pretty barcade. That's the one. I found a really cool one, and the way I found out about it was that it was news that it was shutting down because of COVID. Like it was like the best one in the city apparently where I live, and like that's how I found out about it.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
So that sucks. It looked really cool too.
Well, Two Plumbers is it's also a brewery, like a microbrewery, so they have their own beers and stuff, which I don't know if that helped them stay afloat by selling that, but
well, I like their setup there because a lot of the barcades I've been to feel like it's emphasis on the bar and less so on the cave.
Yeah.
Like they don't do maintenance on their machines, and like the bar music is always way louder than any of the machines are, so you can't hear any of the music or the sound effects. People are just like drunk idiots, and it's not conducive to a high level of play, which is what I want.
Seek out only the true gamer environments.
But Two Plumbers was not that way. They ran a tight ship there. I much approve.
It was good. Non-spawn. They are not sponsors of this podcast.
Yes, they're not sponsoring, but if they wanted to, we would chill for them.
Get you dozens of patrons. Actually, that's probably overshooting it.
All right. Let's talk about this refinery level, boys.
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
So this is the third stage of episode 2 in Doom 1993. The music for this stage is Intermission from Doom. This is the same music that's on the title screen. So that's kind of interesting there. I guess our old friend Bobby Prince couldn't be bothered to write an original track for this level.
Or was it the other way around?
I hope this wasn't his favorite and he wanted it, because this was like, at first I was like, okay, this is just your standard. I am ignoring this, so it's fine. It's nothing crazy. Then the key change happens, and it scared the shit out of me, because it's like 10 times louder than the rest of the song. And it's this high-pitched, single note. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then I realized, oh, it's the song. And it's just, now it went from fine to annoying.
You didn't like it?
No, I hated it.
Really?
I hate half of the song. Because it's so much louder. Like it's decibels louder than
the leveling was no good.
It was just unnecessary.
Could have used another pass on that.
Or just don't change it. Just let it be what it was for the first half. And every time it's just like when it happens, it just kind of gets startled.
Huh. I mean, I gotta admit, I did not notice that, and I played it, so I
do have the music turned up louder, not super louder, because I kept not remembering to listen to it when we were playing through. So I put it up just at a normal level.
So it's like, it got way too loud. The music was so fucking loud that sucked. I hated it. I mean, yes, I turned the music up. I turned it up really loud, but that still was too loud.
Yeah, yes, it was loud, but like louder than where I had comfortably found a place for it.
We're all just like, I didn't notice that. That's interesting, Sam. And you're like, well, I cranked it, but it still was too loud.
I think that at least in my version of this on the Switch, there's a thing where the sound effects are somewhat randomized, like what volume they are. So like one gunshot might be like a lot louder than another one. But you can disable that, fortunately. And also, I think in general, the sound effects are just like really fucking loud in this game.
They are.
Yeah, I have the sounds turned down considerably compared to the music volume.
Yes, I agree with that decision. I endorse that decision.
No, you guys got to play it as intended by the. It's just as loud as they fucking want. Random decibels everywhere.
I want my neighbors to think that a murder is happening in my house.
So this level was I wouldn't say a step back, but not as fun as the first two, I felt.
I agree. Yeah. Right off the bat, Sam, you know what? I agree.
It wasn't bad. I didn't get lost or anything, but it felt really it just kind of, typical, like, okay, there's some cool vines on the wall this time and what seems like random, like pedestals and stuff. And it was fun, but definitely not like cool like the last two levels, I thought.
It's a lot shorter for sure. Like compared to Containment Area, which was huge and just insanely complex. This is a pretty short stage. There's only one color of key card. It's just the blue key. And there's like really not that many areas to it. Let me hit you with some stats here. We've got 90 enemies in this stage. So even though it's kind of small, it feels like there's a lot kind of packed in there. And there are a couple rooms, one in particular, just chock full of enemies that can be very deadly if you're not careful. And this map was designed by Tom Hall and finished by Sandy Petersen.
Mm-hmm,
and it's got 8 secrets. So there's your stats for this level.
I got 100% kills and 100% items, but only 30, like a really small percent of the secrets.
I think I got 33% secrets too, and I thought that I had more than that. I was feeling pretty proud of myself. And then
the only real secret I felt like I found was, I think there's, I did get kind of like there's like, I think 2 areas with nukage in this map that they're not the same area, I don't think, but they look kind of similar. And I think that's where one of the secrets is. And it was like at the very last minute, I didn't have the suit, the nukage suit, and I just kind of ran through it hoping I wouldn't die because I figured there was a secret down there, and there was. But yeah, so it was. I tried to look for the secrets, but I wasn't very successful this time around.
I know exactly what you're talking about at the end, with like that big pool of nukage. I also ran straight through it. I did a quick save first, and then I ran through it to see what was at the end there. And there's like a soul sphere, which is a pretty cool pickup.
Yeah.
In the SNES version, that area has a secret exit that leads to the secret mission for episode 2. The reason being is because the episode there in the PC version, this map that leads to the secret exit is not in the SNES version. That map was removed, so they had to switch the secret exit to a different stage.
This was I'm playing on. Was it Nightmare? Ultimate Nightmare?
So
I'm gonna get it wrong for every episode.
There's There's Nightmare and Ultraviolence, right?
Yeah, Ultraviolence is the hardest difficulty. Nightmare is just Ultraviolence, but with respawning enemies.
Okay. So without the respawning enemies, this was tough. I played it like 4 or 5 times, and only one run did I not die.
Mm.
So there's a lot of like enemies getting behind you, and the what are they called? The Screaming Skulls?
The Lost Souls.
Lost Souls, man, they're annoying. When you said how you hated them before, I was like, man, they weren't that bad. Now I'm playing them on the hardest difficulty, and it's like, okay, these guys are just as annoying as fuck because they need to die faster. They take too many shots. Harder difficulties. Pain in the ass.
Yeah, they're such bastards because they just fly straight at you, just do contact damage, and you walk into whole rooms full of them, or they'll be behind you while you're trying to deal with like pinkies or something. And yeah, unless you can take them out from a distance, they are so annoying. And I can't tell you how many times I've died to stupid Lost Souls in this game.
Sorry, getting distracted by the video there.
Part of the problem is like when you can't find anything, watching Big Mac Davis here, go find all the secrets that you missed. It's a little distracting.
The secret that he found just now was the one we were talking about.
Yes.
And what distracted me was that there was a secret nukage suit around the other side of the corner.
I missed that. I missed that when I went and found that too. Yeah.
Luckily, I think there was a real big health kit in the nukage or something. So I remember getting a lot of health on my way back through.
It's a Soul Sphere, which maxes out your health to 200.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. The par is a 1 minute 30 seconds. Definitely was higher than that when I played it.
Even our good friend Big Mac Davis got a 602 on this level.
Some speedrunner can't even hit par.
Yeah, I guess it just goes to show you that speedrunning for this game is different from just like trying to get all the secrets, you know? Because that's what Big Mac's doing.
That's true, 100%.
Completionist is what he is. Very different from a speedrunner.
Now, I tell you what, fellas, this first room, this is the one that I had the most trouble with. It's just chock full of enemies on the UV difficulty. There's 2 or 3 Caco demons, a bunch of pinkies, a bunch of imps, some possessed troopers, and they're all just kind of in the middle here. There's not a lot of cover. You just kind of have to like stake out a little area in one of the corners and just fire away with your chain gun. Now, there is a Berserk pack in here, so you do have access to Berserk, just like the last level. But I don't know. I didn't find it as useful here just because, like, there's so many enemies coming at you from all sides. And with the tougher enemies, like the Caco demons, you probably don't just want to be punching them.
Yeah, it's kind of a trap, really.
I agree. I was about to say that.
It lures you into, like, last level I fucking cleaned up using the Berserk power up, and this level I'm going to do the same thing, and then you shoot yourself right in the foot by trying to do that.
I generally have had bad luck using it. It's good against soldiers, I think. It can be a little tricky with imps. Anything with real like powerful range, totally worthless against Caco demons, unless you just want to lose a bunch of health, I think. What I ended up doing that worked really well is when you go into that room on the right, there's a column. And I was just kind of like going back and left and right, strafing around the column, getting to kind of come one way and then going around and shooting them that way. So I was kind of like baiting them around in a circle almost around the column. And that helped a lot. But that was a tough room. Because if you try and rush in and like get the Gatling gun too quickly, the chain gun, sometimes like almost every time I've died in this game, it's because I've run into an enemy, like physically, I'm like touching them and I can't get past them, and all of a sudden their buddies have shown up, and then I'm like,
yep,
can't get out, and they just kill me.
Yeah, that happens a lot to me because enemies can open doors. Like the little alcove where the blue key is in, I went a different way first, and a bunch of pinkies came out of that room and like tracked me down to where I was. So suddenly I hear like pinkies like screaming behind me, and I'm like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, like spinning around in circles, just like firing my shotgun wildly.
Another thing that's really awesome that I liked in this level, so they've like been slowly adding in fun little, like, I would call them decorative sprites. Yeah. There's been the dead soldiers. This level though has like a body cut in half, hanging upside down by its feet, just randomly in a room. Mm-hmm. I was like, ooh, that's cool.
Fuck yeah, dude! So metal.
So metal.
I also like the. I think we may have seen it before, but the big wall of like red, like blood, like it looks like blood, like dripping down the wall.
I think that's in the same room, isn't it?
Yeah. It pops up a couple times. That's one. But this unsettled me right here.
The flesh cubes.
Flesh cubes going up and down. These weird,
Dude.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in that room trying to find a secret and not finding one, because I figured it reminded me of the previous level with like the vents that were going up and down, like in the circular vents in the ground. So I thought maybe there was like a door I couldn't see somewhere, but no, just flesh cubes.
It's a Doom guy is just riding the flesh cubes up and down like one of those like quarter carnival rides outside of a Walmart.
It's like just standing there and he's like, "This is pretty great, I gotta say."
Hey, does anybody have a quarter?
Let me ask you guys something. So Please. This was my first time playing with the Berserk power up. How's your guys' accuracy with punching?
Shitty.
Okay. Horrible. That's why I hate it. Yeah.
I was like, is it just me? I mean, I know that first person like melee combat's always sketchy in video games, but like I'm real bad with it. And so I was just wondering if you guys had that same.
I think the problem is how like quick they move. The sprites move when you're really close to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, you can get shot with the pistol, with the shotgun, and it's okay. But getting blasted by imps and caco demons, like that sucks. And they seem to shoot faster sometimes. Like I noticed, I was trying to punch a caco demon, and he fired off like 2 back to back, right in my face. I was like, well, this is stupid. It's actually, I found it worse than the chainsaw. Because the chainsaw at least kind of stuns them. Like you can like just stick it in a pinky and he won't do anything. He won't bite you. So I felt it was worse than the chainsaw.
I actually agree. Watching Big Mac Davis do it, he like has it down to where he'll kind of strafe around the enemies and punch them from the side so that he's not taking as many blasts straight on like that. That feels like an advanced technique to me and he's playing on PC, so he probably has a little bit more precision. Because when I tried to do it on console with my dual sticks, I, took a lot of damage.
It still sucks on mouse and keyboard.
That's good to know. I guess you just have to be a pro esports gamer like Big Mac Davis.
And I guess if you're speed running it, it may be good too. Like if you can get good at just. Because it's kind of a one hit on the weaker enemies, which saves you time and ammo. But you're probably avoiding most enemies anyways on a game like this.
That's absolutely true. In speedruns, they mostly run by all the enemies. They just turn up the speed to the maximum and just run as fast as they can. There's occasions where you do have to kill an enemy. And so like the whole route is based around, okay, how do we kill this one enemy with like the minimum amount of resources? And there's lots of because it's a PC game with quick saves, there's lots of just like doing safety saves and like, okay, I fucked up, so I need to reload here and shit like that. Which I don't know, that's kind of a staple of PC speedruns. And I don't know, console games just have a different feel to them, I think, because on a PC, so much is happening. Like you're reloading saves, you're going into like the file registry of the game and fucking around with it. It just feels a lot weirder and a little more technical than like a console speedrun.
Hacking the system to your advantage.
They're Joe Pantoliano looking into the Matrix and seeing the code.
This shit box has gone tits up.
You see this code here? It's a caco demon.
This is its 2 buttholes.
Agent Smith, put me back in the Matrix. I mixed the caco demons.
We all do. But yeah, there's just it was an okay level. It's not as bad as like the first episode by any means, but it's just definitely wasn't as cool as the last 2. It was definitely just kind of felt a little more Tom Hall, if you know what I mean.
That's so true.
I mean, I gotta say, like, I kind of disagree. Like, I really enjoyed this one. Like, I enjoyed the last 2 also, but this one I thought I didn't have a problem with it at all. I thought it was pretty decent.
I'm not saying I hate it. It's just comparatively, it was not as entertaining.
One thing that I
Also,
think
sorry, go
is
ahead.
interesting aesthetically is we're outside for part of this in like a courtyard type area. We can see like these mountains all around us, which I guess are the mountains of Deimos. But there's like a cage in the courtyard where there's a bunch of Caco demons imprisoned, which again raises some questions about demonic politics. Like kind of like we said in military base where the possessed troopers had locked up all those imps in a cage. Seems to be a similar situation here.
Yeah, and this is a refinery, you said, right?
Correct.
So it's not something they built necessarily. It's this. Maybe it pays more credence to just like they showed up and like, oh fuck, we're in this thing we can't get out of.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's the Deimos space. I'm not clear what we're refining here. We didn't see much like refining equipment, but we do see like a castle type structure with, like we said, like the hanging sacrifices, like the cut in half bodies and like the wall of blood. So it's become clear that the forces of hell have like moved into Deimos base and just started redecorating.
yeah, so like that's been like I'm really curious about like this is a lore question. Like are they building stuff here? Is like the hell dimension sort of like splicing into Deimos and also Phobos as well to some degree? Like, is it more pronounced here because they're in hell now and like things are just slowly changing in the Deimos base and the refinery and stuff? Like, because
I think the demons are trying to claim the base by adverse possession. Like they're basically looking for squatters' rights here. Well, we've made improvements and nobody was stopping us.
It's an extreme home base makeover hell edition.
Move that, boss.
They're like, look, when we first got here, the humans they weren't taking care of the place, so we moved in and we slaughtered all the humans and we made a bunch of improvements to it. So now we deserve to be here.
Like all these humans' entrails were on the insides of their bodies, so we made good work of that.
We heard you like entrails outside your entrails, so we put them in your outrails.
The barons of hell are like, could we put the entrails on the walls? Could there be cubes of flesh moving up and down?
He's got Pinky with a hard head, like, I don't see why not.
We took your cubes of flesh and we put candles on them.
It's the guy from like Pimp My Ride.
Exhibit.
Yeah.
That's a good demon name right there, is what that is.
Another speaking of demons, we get to see the bosses from chapter 1. One of those demons shows up. I forgot the name of him.
The Baron.
Yes, sir.
Baron. Yeah, that's right. So we got one of those guys, but he's easy to deal with because he's too tall. You can just go down the hallway into the room at the end of the hallway, and he can't come after you, which is nice.
I'm not quite sure if that's true. Yeah, because I remember him getting out and kind of chasing me down the hallway a little bit.
Well, if you go down the hallway, he'll follow you. And there's a room, if like you're facing him on your left, that if you go in that room, it's too short and he can't go into the room, and he just kind of runs back and forth. He'll still shoot at you, but he can't get close to you.
I was gonna say, doesn't he? Yeah. He stopped. I was about to ask if he stopped throwing fireballs at you.
I think I understand.
Yeah, they're easy to dodge. All the projectiles like that are pretty easy to dodge.
Yeah,
the problem comes when there's like 6 enemies.
Right. Yeah.
It's cool how like he actually, Aaron, I wanted to ask you this. Did you play on Hurt Me Plenty or Ultraviolence for this?
I just played on Hurt Me Plenty.
So did you encounter the Baron on Hurt Me Plenty?
I don't think he was. I can't remember. I don't think he was there.
Okay.
You go into a room and there's like 7 or 8 explosive barrels and some pinkies.
Yeah. I saw that. I remember, and that was there in my playthrough. But I don't think there was a Baron in there.
Okay.
But watching him on this, like I felt bad. Like we hadn't seen one by itself yet, and I was like, "Oh, where's your buddy?"
Well, now we can begin the part of the program where Sam and I mock Aaron for playing on Hurt Me Plenty difficulty.
It's okay. He's got a lot on his plate. He's got to play it on the easy baby mode. It's understandable. You're missing out on content, Aaron.
I know, but that's why I'm so grateful to you guys. You guys can tell me all about it.
Well, us and Big Mac Davis will show you the way.
I'm just going to start telling you guys that I switched over, and you'll never
know.
You'll never know.
And I'll tell you something else. It's true. We would never know.
All the columns and like vases or whatever around, like in the corners, like the big red ones and the small gray ones, were pissing me off too. Because I was like, is do I have to do something with these? Are they gonna be a thing?
Yeah.
And they
Dude, you know
weren't.
what? That reminded me
Yeah.
of a GoldenEye level. You know how like on GoldenEye maps, there was always like column mazes like that. No matter what map you were on, there was always some kind of fucking column maze that you get lost in. Rare just loved stuff like that, man. Maybe I just suck at shooters, and can't orient myself in the digital space.
They
But
keep sticking things in the way of the things I want to shoot. Get out of here.
hey guys, can you stop putting all these pillars in the way? I just want to shoot some demons.
You just put the demons right in front of my gun. That would be great.
Just make my shotgun shoot as fast as the chain gun.
Can you help me send an email to John Romero and ask him to stop putting all these pillars in my way? I did want to say I like that the Baron of Hell is a regular enemy now. This is like, I feel like this has been a trope in a lot of games, where like you'll encounter a boss of some type, especially in like fighting games like Final Fight or Streets of Rage. Like the boss of like level 1 will be like a regular enemy by the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like when that happens. It gives you a sense of like, your progression, because a lot of times they'll make the enemy a little bit weaker the second time you see it. But I don't think it's the case here. I think it's the same amount of HP as the Bruiser Brothers from episode 1. But it's just like, all right, you got the skills now. You got the weapons, you got the skills. The Baron of Hell is just gonna, I see pride, I see power.
I think, it reminds me of, was the first Dark Souls that kind of does that, where you run into a couple of demons that are bosses technically, and then later at the very end of the game, they're just rolling around like straight up enemies, and you're like, meh.
Yeah, in the demon ruins when 50 Capra demons start running at you.
Yeah. So it's like, I like it when they do that, because it's like, it makes you feel more badass. So it's like, oh, these are just enemies now. Fuck you, demons. I got this under control.
So anyway, relatively short level, not a bad level, like we said, maybe a little underwhelming. And our friend Big Mac Davis would tend to agree. He says it's an easy level and pretty short, but not bad, a pretty fun level. We've got some good secrets. There is a plasma rifle here if you didn't get it before, as well as like a chain gun and some other goodies for you to find. But nothing like major, like as far as secret areas, there's nothing that's like going to change the whole experience, or, most of the secret areas are just like kind of little alcoves with a power up in it. It's not like you're going to like miss half the map or something. So all in all, a relatively simple level, which may or may not be due to Tom Hall's influence. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was trying to teach me any new mechanics or anything. Maybe you could argue that it was like, getting used to all the flying bastards. Jesus. But
I did want to also mention, sorry, Sam, real quick. I also wanted to mention that I read that in the PS1 / Sega Saturn port, there is a hidden weapon on this level that we're not going to see for a while yet in this version of the game. And that is the BFG 9000.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
classic.
We haven't mentioned it yet. So that may be a spoiler for you. So Aaron, you may want to bleep out me saying that in post-production, so that, or better yet, replace me saying that with Doom Guy noises.
I think that it's a good tease is what it is. What's the BFG 9000? And we haven't seen it yet. I think we're good.
All right, fair enough.
But classic Doom fans know it's coming. So
yeah, it's one of those things that like,
it's iconic.
Yes, exactly. It's like it is Doom,
Yeah.
Okay, folks, fellas, I think we've said pretty much all there is to say about the Refinery. So let's leave that one behind. It is a short stage, but not a bad stage. I wanted to, before we go today, to do a little bit of a developer spotlight on a character that we've mentioned a few times so far, one Carl Sanford Jocelyn Peterson, better known to the world as Sandy Peterson. So this is the man here. Let's look at a picture of him. Look at his glorious visage here.
He's at the Tentacle Convention.
That is a man.
So
he looks like a guy that spends a lot of time indoors. Let's just say that.
I love those sunglasses.
Sandy Petersen, born in St. Louis, Missouri. Salute to our fair city, St. Louis, Missouri. And he's 64, so that puts him a little bit older than like Carmack and Romero, who are both around 50. So he was kind of like more of like a, I don't know, like a more experienced guy that gets brought in. You know how like in bands, when like a new band is forming, sometimes it doesn't come together until they bring in like a really experienced bassist who's done a lot of session work. And they kind of like bring the whole thing together.
When he made Doom, he was our age.
That picture of him was the year I graduated high school.
Really makes you think about what we've done with our lives, doesn't it, boys?
Come on, man. Why you gotta...
I can feel the icy hand of the grave reaching towards me now. and a voice whispering from beyond the veil, "You've wasted your life."
No!
All right, well, check this out. Sandy Petersen, before he worked on Doom, did a variety of things, but one of the most well-known of them is he worked on role-playing games. He was a lifelong fan of the works of H.P. Lovecraft, and he was the primary developer of the Chaosium role-playing game Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, cool. It's a very fun game.
So that's pretty cool. We've played Call of Cthulhu. Me and Sam have a few times, and it's a fun, if maddening, tabletop RPG. He did some other stuff for Games Workshop, started working on a few games, and then eventually got involved with id Software in 1993 after the departure of Tom Hall. Tom Hall, whether he was fired by Carmack or quit, hard to say, but he parted ways with id Software, leaving some of his work unfinished. So that's when the man, the legend, Sandy Petersen, the experienced session guitarist, stepped in to fill the role left vacant. And folks, the rest was history.
And then Tom Hall was not pleased with what he did. He's still just frothing at the mouth about it now.
He stomped out of the front door like, "Well, you guys are never going to make this game without me." And as he was walking out, he saw Sandy Petersen like walking in, just like nodding to him, giving him like a little 2-fingered salute.
2 women on his arm and
sunglasses all like glinting in the sunlight. So Sandy Petersen did like, what's the number here? 19 maps in Doom. 8 of which were based on drafts by Tom Hall. So 19, that's a lot. That's more than anybody else. Certainly more than Romero, who really only worked on the first episode, which, as we're quickly discovering, we like episode 2 better. The Shores of Hell, better than Knee Deep in the Dead.
So far at least.
Yeah, that's true so far. But Romero, you're getting beat at your own game by Sandy Petersen. So
that's kind of to be expected, though, right? The first, it's all an introduction. It was literally designed as a big tease. Like,
that's true.
I mean, so it makes a lot of sense that the rest would be better, because then you tease, and then some people buy the rest of the game, and they're like, the rest of the game's so much better, guys. You got to get the rest of the game, and word spreads, and it's fucking sick.
That's right. Yeah, you want it to like hook, and then you want later stages to be better. Although there is like, I don't know, have you guys ever heard this, that some game design studios will design the first stage last, under the theory that like you should, once you get to that point, you're as experienced as you're going to be. And so you want the first stage to be really good and hook people. So you wait till the end, till you're like really comfortable with your game engine and stuff. And then you make the first stage. Supposedly that's what they did on God of War 2. They made the Colossus of Rhodes stage last.
It's a very memorable level. It's the same kind of idea where, like, an album, the first song is like super important because it's the first thing everyone hears, and that's like what people kind of like associate you with. It's where your big single goes. It's all that kind of crap. So I could see that they would do that. Why that would be the idea,
Yeah, and I wonder, that's got to be like a relatively new for game design sort of methodology, because trying to think where I read this, or it might have been in High Score where they're talking about how they'll design like, where did I hear it? Or it might have been a podcast, how like game designers will design like half the game basically, and then just sort of coast the rest of the game or something like that. Yeah.
Dude, can I tell you something about High Score real quick, fellas?
Sure. I've only seen the first episode.
This has been like burning in my brain here. A couple things that really grinded my gears. They talked to Nolan Bushnell, of course, because Nolan Bushnell will always be in your documentary. You know whose name doesn't even get a whisper? Ralph Baer. They did my man dirty yet again.
Remind me.
Ralph Baer. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Sorry.
my man Ralph Baer just like lost to history. He's the guy who invented video games. Like literally.
Isn't he the one who invented Pong, right? And then Nolan Bushnell stole the idea from him, basically.
Basically, yeah. He was a German-American engineer who worked for Magnavox. And in his spare time, he created and patented a system for displaying very crude and rudimentary video games on a television using, like the components that were already inside the TV. And Magnavox liked the idea so much that they made the Magnavox Odyssey console, and they held all of the patents which Ralph Baer had made. And so Magnavox sued Atari for a shitload of money, and Atari had to like do a licensing deal with them because Magnavox and Ralph Baer had quite literally patented the concept of video games and held a license in it or gave out licenses in it for a very long time until their patent ran out.
Nolan Bushnell is an asshole, basically.
Yes.
he not only did he like steal all the ideas from Magnavox and everything and be more successful at it, he also did the same thing with Showbiz Pizza and Chuck E. Cheese. Like Showbiz Pizza was around first, and he just ripped them off and put them out of business and bought their company from them, and that's where Chuck E. Cheese came from. Same guy. They could make a really good movie about Nolan Bushnell because he's such a piece of shit.
Yeah, it sounds like the founder all over again.
Who would play Nolan Bushnell in the movie?
Oh, Nolan Bushnell. Oh man.
How about this? Paul Giamatti.
Oh yeah, someone who's well, I don't know, because Nolan Bushnell kind of has like a presence, kind of like that guy who has like the King Kong, the Donkey Kong,
Billy Mitchell.
He's like him, he's a piece of shit, but he's like charismatic, and he's got a real strong. I think Giamatti's too
could
small.
play that.
I think he's like a bigger guy.
Listen, Showbiz Pizza. I'm gonna steal your idea and put you out of business.
But it's more like a confident, sexy kind of asshole, not like a little
okay.
Nolan Bushnell was like, you would listen to him and you would like, oh yeah, you can steal my idea. That's cool. I like this guy.
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, but he's like a physically large man. He's a big man, like Nolan Bushnell.
Wayne Johnson.
I'd watch that.
How you doing? My name's Nolan Bushnell. I created Atari. I'm the inventor of video games.
Cocks and eyebrow.
Can you smell what Atari is cooking?
He was just like an asshole. I guess that's the best way to put it. But it worked for him. Well, it was the time when being an asshole was just meant you were better at business than everybody else.
It is. And he went around letting people, if not saying it outright, he went around letting people believe that he invented video games. But I'm telling you, it's not true. And what's the high score? You done goofed. You done fucked up. You did my man Ralph Baer, may he rest in peace. You did him dirty.
Well, Andy, it sounds like we need to write our own documentary here. We need to produce our own. A higher score. I
love this idea.
I think Steve Jobs worked for Nolan Bushnell and got fired because he was a stinky hippie at the time or something. I know they had some kind of interaction. I'm just remembering the video game history.
Being dirty cures cancer.
Let me tell you this, guys. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak both worked for Nolan Bushnell at Atari. And Steve Jobs had it set up where like he would go and get the gigs and then make Steve Wozniak do it and claim that they would split the money. But really, Steve Jobs was keeping like 2/3 of the money and screwing Steve Wozniak. Yeah. And Woz found out about it years later and was like, Steve, like, you were my friend. I would have let you have more if you just said you needed it more. Why did you have to do that?
Oh God. But
Okay.
but enough of other video game people. It
Yeah.
looks like Sandy Peterson's worked on he worked on a lot of interesting stuff. It looks like Age of Empires and
Yep.
Civilization, a lot of big name stuff. And he made 19 levels in 10 weeks. Did you see that? It says that he showed up 10 weeks before the release of Doom and made 19 levels for it.
Jesus.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's an older time, so it's easier, but still not easy enough to not be impressive.
Yeah. The man's a workhorse. I mean, he came in when Carmack's code and Romero's development tools were already on point, and he just kind of ran with it from there. Back in 2013, he kickstarted a board game based on Cthulhu, which I guess was pretty successful, although I've never heard of it. Cthulhu Wars. And then let's see. He's returned to Chaosium, the company that does Call of Cthulhu. So maybe he's going to be cranking out more source books for that RPG setting. But one little tidbit I found interesting: he's a practicing member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So, folks, we got a Mormon from Missouri. Classic type of guy to be.
Be more of a cliche, why don't you?
And reportedly, he doesn't see any conflict between his faith and the satanic elements of the games. Apparently, once he said to John Romero, "I've got no problems with the demons in the game. They're just cartoons. And anyway, they're the bad guys."
Yeah, which we've pointed out many times.
We've been saying that.
Yeah.
You blow them away. They shoot them in the face with shotguns over and over and over again.
Yeah, Doom Guy is like the most Christian hero.
He's a one-man demon genocide machine. It's
Hey, are you barons of hell ready to receive the true sacrament? All right. Well, that's all I've got on our man Sandy for today, but definitely an interesting figure.
Yeah.
Very influential, kind of a steady hand to come in and balance the ship just before, 10 weeks before the release of Doom. An experienced guy with many interesting projects under his belt. So salute to Sandy Peterson. Thank you for your service.
Indeed. Well done, sir. Well done.
All right, fellas. Well, what do you say we wrap this one up for today?
Sounds good.
Yeah,
So
I think we did it.
We are now concluding E2M2 Refinery. We're moving on to the next episode, the next map in episode 2, which is, of course, the Shores of Hell. Mission 4 or level 4, whatever the hell you want to say. The next level is Deimos Lab. So hopefully, I hope that we can expect a more complex and perhaps a more spoopy level from Deimos Lab. This level felt sort of like, I don't know, like an aperitif, or some kind of little light snack in between levels. So I hope that the next one's a little more meaty. Aaron, what do you want to say to the folks at home before we leave today?
Well, folks, I want to say thank you for listening and for joining us on this journey. We hope you're playing along as well. If you are, tell us what you think about this level. And go to onestageatatime.com to find more of our things on our socials. We are on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Please follow us on there. Give us a share. Give us a rating. We really appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Sam, thank you for being here, my friend, on joining us on this journey as well.
Pleasure.
Why don't you give us that sign off, man?
Everyone out there in YouTube land and podcast land and land, save and continue.